listening to the Guitar Heroes podcast.
And we are rolling. Do you know? Put your trousers back on, Chris. The you people in our podcast world, we've got a big apology to make for leaving a gap in your life last week. We didn't put an episode out, and the reason we didn't put an episode out is, well, I'm going to hand it over to Lee. Let's just get straight onto it.
Oh, do you have to?
Let's just get straight onto it.
I'm sick of talking about it.
Yeah, you could have my version if you want.
Yeah, go for it. You tell the people what you think happened, and then I'll fill in the gaps.
Okay. Well, we had a really good weekend last weekend, or the weekend before last, I suppose it'll be when this goes out.
Yeah.
We had a barbecue for the whole show, and and it was really great to see everybody again. And I cooked Lee a dodgy burger, and therefore he got admitted to hospital and had to have his penis removed.
I did tell them that I'd eaten a large amount of vegetarian food the day before, and my diet is not used to that. And they said, well, we don't think it's that, Mr. Williams, but thank you for telling us.
Being a vegetarian causes appendicitis. That's what it is.
Well,
and your penis to be removed. Yeah.
You never know. You never know. So yes, I've had a fun week. As you may be able to hear, I'm battling through, but had an emergency visit to my local hospital this week, where I spent 36 wonderful hours, and in which they removed my appendix and
Penis
sewed me up. No. Phil's,
you still got that?
You've been quite consistent with just asking me. That was one of the first things he said as I came round, and I sent everyone messages after saying, yeah, it's all done. That was one of your first questions. You said check.
You have to do that. You really have to check, because when you're in hospital, obviously you go under anaesthetic. You don't know what they're taking off, do you? Could be anything. Got to check these things.
Wow. Yeah. It was very surreal, but not a pleasant experience. Appendicitis is not something I would wish upon anyone, and now just on the other side and taking each day as it comes, and got 3 holes in my belly and a course of antibiotics and all sorts to get through. But it's like I say, an eventful week, which possibly helped and hindered the experience. I said all along that I'm not very good with any procedures, and a bit squeamish with anything like that, and the thought of anything planned would have caused quite a lot of sort of stress and anxiety and stuff. But touch wood, luckily I've managed to stay out of hospital for best part of 30 years. Actually, I was back in the same hospital that I was born in, which was quite weird, and I haven't really been there since I or my sisters were born. But the fact that it was an emergency removal kind of puts you into a different frame of mind, and you just kind of power through and just go along with the ride. And it was weirdly, I don't want to say enjoyable, but weirdly just interesting. I think you're at the mercy of the situation when you're going through something like that, so you just have to go with the flow. And I just kind of lapped up the experience, because I've never been there before, never been through that, never had an operation, general anaesthetic and all that sort of stuff. And just to see the hospital and see the NHS like working from the inside was amazing. Yeah, really cool. So shout out to everyone at Dorset County Hospital, all the amazing people in A&E, triage, the amazing surgical team, and all the guys and gals on the Lulworth ward who, looked after me for recovery after.
I can't speak high enough of that place. When I had a gallbladder removal a couple of years ago, and although mine wasn't an instant thing, I knew I was building up to an operation for a year, and so I had a lot of nerves, because I'd never been in hospital before. I mean, I broke bones and stuff like that when I was a kid, but never an operation. And when you actually go in some nobody's lucky to go have an operation, are they? But you were lucky in some respects, in that you were like in, done, out again. Whereas I had all the nerves for about a year of like building up to going into hospital, and it was something that I had a bit of a phobia about. But they were so good at Dorset County Hospital.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
you know, the staff, the doctors, everybody was just so good. It was like, yeah, you almost look forward to going back again.
Well,
in a weird way.
it's certainly having a forced experience like that has certainly changed my opinion and alleviated some of those kind of. I think everyone has no one likes to be ill, and everyone has a fear. You associate hospitals with sickness and illness, and everyone does their best to stay out of them, particularly right now.
Especially right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But having
The important question, Lee,
yeah.
is were you wearing clean underwear?
I put clean underwear on, but the nice thing is,
Sorry,
Chris,
Bill, just space coffee everywhere.
I put clean
I
underwear
just
on
spat
before,
coffee over my microphone.
but they
Oh.
what they don't tell you is they take that straight off anyway. So they take your underwear off and they give you a lovely little dressing gown thing to wear. So they took all my
I
clothes.
made a mistake with mine. I put it on the wrong way around, and they went, "Mr. Walker, please cover yourself up."
I did ask before I took the underwear off. I said, "Is it underwear on or off?" And they said, "No, arse out. Get them pants off." So yeah, I
I
had,
love it. We're back on cue.
there was quite a few funny little moments in there that again you'd only go through if you're on the inside and you get to, but these people just see it day in day out, and it's just amazing. I have no idea how they do it. No idea.
Well, I tell you what, it was a bittersweet day. Was that day? I think it was Tuesday, wasn't it? It was Tuesday when.
To bring it back round to music and the show and stuff. So obviously, this week Boris made an announcement, and we've extended our UK restrictions here. He's added another 4 weeks to it, and my fever and most of the appendicitis symptoms kicked in literally about an hour after Boris had given that speech. So I blame Boris.
Everybody blames Boris.
It was like, yeah, here's a nice heavy dose of that from him, and then it was like, oh, I'm well with it. Ooh, have a bit of that.
Well, it was really funny because we made the announcement and we didn't know what was going to happen because we were supposed to be in Basingstoke on the 16th at the Haymarket, 16th of July, and Dave, our lighting technician, was over here, and he was servicing all the lights before we went out on that date and did the tech runs and everything. And we still didn't know what was happening with that date. The venue hadn't let us know, the promoter hadn't let us know. And then Williams sends me a picture of him in hospital. I'm going, hey, what's going on here? And then he explains, I'm having my appendix out, and I'm going, oh no, if we're going to do this gig, we now haven't got Lee. I was thinking, oh, okay, well, that's not my initial thought. Initial thought was, oh dear, I hope he's well. I hope he's okay. Honestly, it was.
I hope he's wearing clean underwear.
Yeah, I hope he's put his gown on the right way around. Yeah. So I was like, oh, well, obviously, thoughts go out to you straight away. And then you start thinking, oh, right, okay, so we're a lead down. Right, hang on a minute. And then it must have been half an hour later, we got the email through saying that the gig had been moved to November because I've never had this before because we've sold too many tickets for the gig to go ahead. I've never had that. So
I knew exactly what you'd be thinking, Phil. And I actually spoke to Al first. He found out, but
you did you?
Well, he found out through the grapevine, and I sent him a message, but we didn't know at that point what it was.
Yeah,
I was still waiting on blood tests. I mean, I was pretty sure, but I said to Al, I said, don't tell Walker. Just give me half an hour. Don't tell Walker, because when I tell him, I want to be able to tell him something. I don't just want to freak you out and just say, oh my God, here I am. I have no idea what's going on. I wanted to be able to say, this is what it is. And this is and one of the first questions I actually asked was about the recovery. I said, how long will it be before I can stand up and play guitar? And they were like, oh, don't worry. It won't be very long. But you do get out of some heavy lifting for quite a while. So I was like, yes, yes. So I spent most of my time in there actually talking about guitars. They were so interested in everything, and I think hopefully we might see a few of the NHS staff coming along to one of the shows, which would be cool.
Excellent. Oh, good work. He's even working. Look, when he's in hospital on his deathbed, there
Selling tickets to all the patients.
I was talking about guitars, and I was talking about guitars, and I was plugging the show on the operating table, and that's not even a joke. It was the last thing I was talking about before I went under, we were talking about guitars, and they were all going like rock and roll, man. It was crazy. It was so surreal. It was like being in a film.
Putting on some AC/DC as they're doing the operation.
It was
I
yeah.
think last thing I remember when I was on the table, you know, because I'm really difficult to get blood out of. Apparently, I said to your anaesthetist, I said, oh, good luck trying to find a vein, and he goes, it's already in. I was like, oh, you're awesome. And that was sort of the last thing I remember. It was like, oh, but yeah, weird old times we're in, isn't it? Eh?
It is. It is. Chris, have you ever had a general anaesthetic?
No.
Would you like one?
Would I like one?
Would you like one? Yeah.
Oh, sure. I'm sure it sounds fun. No, luckily I haven't had to go under any operation or anything like that. The only thing I've ever done is cut my lip open, falling off a bunk bed when I was like 5 or 6 or something.
Oh well, actually, Chris,
Yeah.
you did. We were concerned about you after the barbecue because you got some pretty nasty hay fever or something in your eyes at that barbecue. And I think
Christ,
Soph actually pointed out to me that she said, you know that you were the one that made the joke that Chris is going to wind up in hospital because he's got something in his eye. When you were leaving, I said, Chris, I'm going to check on you tomorrow because I don't want to find you've gone to A&E because your eyes have continued to swell. Little did I know. No, I didn't because I was there myself. I knew you weren't there.
Although when he was in
Karma,
there,
my friend.
when he went into hospital, he did say to the staff there, he said, "Could you just check there's not a Chris Taylor on this ward?"
Yeah, hit with the guy with the big swollen eyes.
Well, honestly, as soon as I got home, it got worse. It got worse when I got home.
Really?
So it got really bad. To the point I tried the thing of filling up my sink with cold water, shoving my face in it, trying to blow bubbles out my nose and everything. I think it made it worse, Lee. I felt so bad. I got like a migraine and everything. And
what did you do?
I tried to go to sleep.
No, I mean, like, how did you? What happened to your eye? What actually?
It's hay fever, just pollen. Obviously, where I've been rubbing my eye during the day, I think I was just rubbing the pollen further into my eye. But I have discovered something. So anyone who's suffering with hay fever,
yeah,
Superdrug, I think, amongst other places, I think, sell hay fever wipes.
Really?
Yeah, so you could just literally wipe your eyes with these, and apparently removes all the pollen.
Shame you didn't know about that last Sunday.
Oh, I know.
I wish they sold appendix wipes. That'd be great. Wipe your belly and carry on.
Yeah, I suppose you could ask Ali's got plenty of bum wipes.
Well, to be honest, they'd be just as useful at the moment. That's really what I need right now.
So how are you feeling right now then?
I'm in a state of slight confusion as to my symptoms. Really, the pain itself subsides pretty quick, and basic painkillers can take care of that. Really, the first day was still a bit of a difficulty to walk. It's getting up. The problem is when you're recovering like this, you spend so much time sort of sat and led down, and that means that every time you need to do something, you need to get up, and it's getting up that can be hard because it's so hard to not use your abdominal muscles because they support virtually every movement you make. So you suddenly, it's like when you hurt your back, you suddenly realize like how much it's working all day, or your neck. You know, these are things that you just can't avoid. Your arm, you can stick in a sling. Your leg, you can put in a cast. But I think these core muscles are so hard. But really, for me, I think it's just the antibiotics. I'm on this course of antibiotics just for like a week, and the list of symptoms that they cause is quite long. So I don't know what is just getting over the operation and what is actually the antibiotics at the moment, because there are a few symptoms that I'm suffering, which I won't go into. But
no, it's not the one that makes your penis shrink, is it?
Oh no, definitely not. But also the other thing is,
I was on those ones.
Oh
yeah,
as I said to you the other day,
still in recovery.
Still in recovery.
with I've come out the other end of this an expert on appendicitis, but I'll never need to know about it again. That's the nice thing about having it taken out. With appendicitis, obviously, it's not just a remove. It's not just the operation, but there's actually an infection there. That's the reason you have it removed. So you've got to get over the operation. You've got to get over the physical trauma to your body, but you're still left with a residual infection. That's what the antibiotics are there for. So you're fighting off the infection, and you're also dealing with the side effects of the antibiotics. And my infection was evidently quite bad, so it came out literally just in the nick of time. So yeah, it's every day's getting better though. I mean, I'm here. 2 days ago,
So
I wouldn't have been doing this.
ladies and gentlemen, that's why we didn't have last week's podcast.
Yep, there
That's
we
it.
go.
That's it. Well, I don't really. Now we can move on from that. To be honest, it's everything else is just going to be a bit downhill from that now, and a bit uneventful, isn't it?
Can I just
Are you
say
still-
though? Can I just say? I was gonna when I was asking Chris about this earlier. That's where I'm gonna go with it. The general anaesthetic thing that was going into it. I don't want to say I was excited about it, but I knew that if this was going to happen, if they were going to tell me I was going on the table and I wasn't leaving today with my appendix, then I thought, well, the upside is I'm going to get to experience. It's kind of something I've always been interested to experience, but you have to go through something most likely negative to have that experience. But it literally just like, I knew I'd be fascinated by it, and I'm even more fascinated by it now that I've had it. It was just the weirdest thing. I kept bothering the nurses and asking people all morning, like, tell me more, like, how does it work? Do all this, blah, blah, blah. And it seems that it's like a bit of a mysterious science. There's still like a lot of unknown aspects to it. And it was just, I don't know how it was for you, Phil, but Chris, if I could describe it to you, it is absolutely nothing. Like you can't even describe nothing.
No,
It's like nothing exists in that time. I'm literally on the table talking about guitars. I don't even remember falling asleep. I don't even remember. Some people said they do a countdown or they count backwards or nothing. All these people buzzing around my head, chatting away. No lights go out. No vision goes blurry. Nothing. Literally the next thing, I'm opening my eye. And they positioned a clock right in front of me. So I could, like, the first thing my eye was drawn to was the clock. 2.5 hours had gone by, and it was instantaneous. Like, no dream, no memory, no, I think I heard something, nothing. It was the weirdest thing. And it's kind of like, made me ponder the universe now a little bit.
Chris, be careful what he puts in your coffee.
Yeah.
He wants to. Let's have Chris experience this. Yeah. No.
I remember when Amy, obviously we had Marley. Amy had to have a C-section, so everything from her waist down. Well, actually, no, sorry, everything from here downwards was completely like she couldn't feel anything.
Yeah.
Chris just pointed at the chest.
At the chest, yeah, everything down. And she said like it was weird because like half an hour gone by. Obviously, they've cut through all her abdominal muscles and everything like that, and like it's quite severe, really, what she has to go through. But half an hour's gone by, just a baby out. And it's like it feels like they're just like doing the washing up or something.
Yeah.
In her, that's what she said. It felt like it was, and plus she was a little bit out of it as well. She said it was like very surreal. It just went so fast and couldn't really comprehend what was happening because it was all moving so quickly. But yeah, everything was. She described everything as moving quite slow at the same time. It was very, very bizarre.
Amazing. Yeah, it just split.
You're right though. You have to go through something negative to.
You do, yeah.
Like
it's
that,
always something. I thought, do you know what? Like one day, I feel like I don't know. I feel like everyone sort of deserves to experience it. It's such an amazing thing that we have, and I was just when I woke up for the next hour, I was just like, really. I sort of like didn't believe it because I just woke up in another room, another bed, surrounded by different people. And you're still really dozy for about an hour after. And the nurses, they probably have a right laugh in that section because everyone's coming to and everyone's talking nonsense and stuff. And I was just like, really? And I sort of had to keep like checking. Oh yeah, look, there's these dressings that weren't there before. Most of the pain is gone. It was just I couldn't get. I sort of felt very weird about it all. It was like the closest thing to sort of magic that I've ever experienced. Just, amazing. So there you go.
I found the whole experience. The worst part of the whole experience was trying to poop. Oh man, I was about 4 days.
Really?
And oh my god, it was horrendous. Yeah, sorry for anybody who's squeamish out there.
Again, abdominal muscles. needing to be used, and
Luckily, I'm not
yeah.
having to engage my muscles to take care of any of that business. It's just taking
Oh,
care of
so
itself.
you've got
at
the opposite
moment.
what I had then.
Yeah, minimal. I was the same. I was thinking, Christ, how is this going to work? But
So
yeah.
don't make him laugh or cough.
I had a thought yesterday, and I thought, oh, that's quite funny. Actually, you get these little thoughts. You spend a lot of time in your own head, just sat around. Hospital time can pass quite slowly. And I was thinking, yeah, you can sort of judge how well you are by how confident you are in your farts. And it's sort of like if you're gonna go to the toilet just to have a fart, you know you're not quite well yet. But if as you start getting more confident with it, if you're gonna do it stood up or maybe near. Anyway, I'm probably sharing a little too much there, but so you guys will know I'll be 100% if I come and drop one near you.
Well, we know it's one of Lee's favourite things to do, isn't it? So
Oh yeah. We're now not allowed back to Leeds City Varieties because of him.
It's those toilets backstage. Christ, you know where Lee's been.
Look, I might have lost.
He didn't make it to the toilet. We know that.
It's always before he goes on stage. He's like, Chris, I need a poo so bad.
Come on, guys.
And you turn around and he's gone. And he's...
We're better than this.
That is the thing. That is the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, this is the Guitar Heroes podcast. It's all, it's about all things guitar and gigging, and
Really?
that does happen, doesn't it? I mean, it happens quite a lot. I know loads of people that if they haven't had their pre-show poop, they really struggle going on stage. But they really do. It's a funny thing.
But if you're out gigging as well, and I've been away on gigs on times where I've not had control of that sort of region. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, to the point where we I think we're up in Birmingham somewhere, and we had the whole day free. We found a really great guitar shop. I think it was like Fair Deal Music, I think it was called. And the only thing I could think of was, where's the nearest pub? I need the toilet so bad.
Wow.
Yeah, I was taking tablets to try and block myself up and everything, and I found this pub. It was a bit of a dive, and I'm like, I just don't care. I just don't care. And it got so bad. I remember the gig in the evening, having to sing like "Living on a Prayer," and like you're going for high notes, you have to support your voice with your stomach. I'm like, oh god, this is not.
Lee's trying not to laugh at it. He's in pain when he laughs.
Yeah, I can't laugh.
But this is something musicians go through, actually, and
it is.
Yeah, it's
right.
a difficult thing to deal with.
Well, if you go to a normal job, and you've got stomach problems, you're near a toilet. If you're on stage and you've got an hour set or a 2-hour set or something like that to do, I've often wondered, what does the Queen do? When she's sat at these long.
She's old, though,
she's
isn't
done
she?
like concerts and that.
Probably only
she
goes
had
about once a week.
She had a dodgy egg for breakfast.
It's probably just dust.
I'm very sorry, but one must go to do one.
No, it is. Well, actually, I was thinking as well. Back on the Boris point, maybe Boris did me a favour by prolonging things a little bit further, because I was thinking, imagine if any of us, it must just be the worst thing. If you're a musician, you're touring and you've got commitments lined up. If you're struck down with anything, any kind of illness, but certainly anything that puts you in hospital, like my God, I just don't know how. I don't know what it would do, because it would affect so many people. Like my situation now would affect everyone involved.
Well, I've been in a situation like that. I was on a show called Route 66, and I was the MD for it. So again, it's a hard position to just hand on to somebody else to take over for a few gigs. You can't dep it out. And it was we were touring through February, and it was one of those Februaries that there was just snow everywhere. It was horrendous. It was a really cold winter, and we were up north. We were like we I think we started in Birmingham and just carried on, and we ended up in Scotland, and I got flu. And everybody knows that when you get flu, flu's not a bad cold. Flu is completely different animal.
Body aches, everything.
You can't move.
No,
you can't move. And I got flu on the road.
You were driving, I presume, as well.
No, I wasn't on this
luckily,
one. I wasn't on this one. No. I was actually supposed to be help drive the PA lorry, because at the time they'd only got one driver. Because funny enough, the other guy had gone ill as well, and I said, "Well, I've got my license. I'll drive it as well." I didn't drive it one bit. I was just too ill. But So yeah, started off feeling a bit funny on the first night, and then after that, because we were room sharing, and everybody just like, no, let Phil have his own room. Nobody wanted to be near me at all, and I was just came out of the room, got into the theatre, and I just slept in the theatre in loads of blankets. I bought blankets, and I was just in blankets. Right, I didn't even sound check. I just literally went on stage to do the show. Don't know how I did it. And we had a day off, and I think it fell. My mum and dad still lived up north, and I went up north. No, we had 2 days off. Beg your pardon. And I went up north and stayed with my mum and dad for 2 nights. And I actually, at that point, I made a couple of calls and said to somebody, "Look, you've got to come and take over because I just cannot get back on the road." And funny enough, those 2 days, I think I must have just literally slept for 48 hours. Because when I started coming round and everything, I was like, I still felt awful, but I felt better than I did when I was on stage a few days earlier. So I thought I could do it, But yeah, it's horrible being ill on the road. It really is.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Guitar Heroes podcast.
Yeah. I was just going through my mind the whole time, like just how fortunate it was that it happened when it did, and we weren't in the middle of something. Especially, it would have been even worse right now with the COVID situation to have waited. I mean, imagine if it'd been September or something, and we've waited like 18 months to get back on the road, and we're all buzzing. And then we go back for 2 shows and something like that happens. It just would have, I would have been livid. And it just, but coming back to the poo thing, if we want to talk about poo.
Well, not really, but if you want to go there again, that's fine.
No, I need to clear this up because Chris
sounds like you do, yeah.
Chris has thrown me under the bus there. I don't always need to do this before we go on stage. The difference with our show, I think you're right that like any gig, there is a pressure on the performer. You've got to do what you got to do to get through it. But the difference with a show like ours and a theatre show like that is we all know that once it starts, it doesn't stop. The whole thing, I mean, it's not like even a wedding gig or sort of like a function or something. You can nip away. We're just gonna have 5 minutes. We're see you back here. Go and grab some food. Thank you. You can't do that in a theatre when everything's timed and everything is a set. Right, you're on stage here. You're off stage here. Here's the interval. Blah blah blah. So I think everyone just tries to take care of business before the show.
I remember Toby. It's when both me and Toby worked on another show a few years ago, and Toby, I don't know what it was, whether he had food poisoning or something. I don't know. He probably had a dodgy Weatherspoons, and we were on stage, and luckily we were only part of the band, so we weren't like fronting it or anything like that. So he was like, it must have been, we were on stage at 7:30, and sort of around 7:15 he starts throwing up, and I'm thinking, how's this gonna work? How is this going to work? And it ended up where he had a bucket in the wings, and every now and then, seriously, every now and then he just walked off. But he was quite good about it, really, because when he came back on, he brought a different guitar on with him.
Oh my word!
It looked like he'd been going off to do something, and then the poor fella. He was I remember it was a Guildhall in Preston. Yeah.
Just not loads of people do it. I remember watching some Iron Maiden footage, and it might have been the tour where Bruce Dickinson flew everyone around the world.
Okay, yeah.
That big plane they
Ed
got.
Force One.
Yeah, that's right. And but I remember like seeing the footage, and the guitar players are like just like jumping, running off stage, throwing up in buckets, coming back on, jumping around, and like it's so rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
So it happens with everyone, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Yeah,
but I think it's important to go through things like that because it shows what you're kind of made of in terms of a gigging and performing musician. It prepares you for all situations, doesn't it? And it's just character building.
Yeah.
It's like being on the ships as well. I know another band who were on the ship, and I might say this. Is it the Bay of Biscay? The real rough section. And as usual, it was as rough as ever. And the the drummer like went off to be sick. This is while they're on stage, and came back on, and he's like, I don't think I can carry on like this. And the cruise director's saying, you carry on or you're fired. And he went, fire me. And he went, and the guitar player went, on me, like that.
Oh, no.
And the keyboard player went, you can fire me as well. They were all there too. And it was just literally the singer and the bass player, and they're going, well, what are we going to do?
I've honestly, I've been so close to that. Obviously, performing on a few ships, you go in advance, you get those wristbands. I bought some of those wristbands that
They're good, they are. Yeah, I've got some.
Unfortunately, I left them at home.
Oh no!
But I had some seasickness tablets. I went to the chemist. I was like, I need the strongest dose of like they're not even called seasickness tablets, are they? They're like
Quails.
Yeah, it might
Quails
have been those. I had something like that.
Yeah.
But that was good. But like when the they announce on the ship, oh, it's like a force 11 or something like that. Like I think the highest is force 12. You don't sail. But a lot of the time, if it's like a force 8, it's generally a force 10.
Right.
They will never tell you how bad it is.
Oh.
They'll tell you less to make you think that. But then you look out the window and you see like the boat is like really up and down. The waves are massive, and it's when you know the boat is quite bad when you go to press the pedal and you kind of miss and lose your balance, or you fall off the stage. And it's you can feel pretty rough and queasy because it doesn't stop. After you finish performing, you go back up to your room maybe to sleep, and the boat's still sailing, and it's just non-stop.
That's why I would never do a cruise again.
I couldn't.
I've only ever done. I've done one cruise, and it was really, really nice weather. It was gorgeous, and you didn't even know you were moving. And I was on there for 3 days, and I was after 3 days, I was like, as nice as this is, I hate ships. I just want to go home. This is not for me.
It's when you get off as well. Everything's just moving because you've developed sea legs and everything around you is moving.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I've got the opposite at the moment. I've got bed legs. I'm moving. Everything else is staying very still. Tell you what, I had good fun with the bed. I love that, though. That was a nice little gadget. I want to get me one of those for home with the old reclining bed so you can just, push the button.
Yeah.
The bloke next to me must have been well annoyed. Middle of the night, I'm playing with that.
I thought he was going to say the bloke that was in bed with me must have been really annoyed. And said, times are hard, you've got to share beds in Dorset County Hospital now.
No.
Yeah. So blimey. Yeah. So sick. This is a good episode, isn't it? Sickness on the road.
Yeah.
We could call it that.
I guess we could call it that. Yeah.
Sickness.
But it's difficult for this show because everyone's such an integral part of the show. If someone's ill, does that mean the show doesn't go out?
Well, except Al.
Except Al.
Doesn't really matter with Al, does it? Let's put a drum machine on, can't we?
Well, I've been advocating for that for years, whether he's well or not.
Actually, you say that, but he sent me a text this morning. I don't know if he wants people to know this, but he said he's done his neck in. So, but everybody's sending a message. What do we think Al's done by doing his neck in? How's he done it? I don't know.
Oh, I feel really bad for him. Do you know what? I feel really bad for him.
Poor Al.
Sympathy.
Yeah, poor Al. He said, oh, I don't think I could have made the rehearsal next week. I'm like, pull yourself together, man. Lee's just had his penis removed and he's going.
Look, I'm going to prove it.
Oh, God.
Oh, Lee. No. You sure that's not your belly button?
No, they cut that off. They did actually cut that off. They
start
one of the cuts just on the bottom side of your belly button.
Well, looking at that, I think they might have slipped with a knife.
I'm getting a bit lightheaded, Phil. I am.
Oh yeah. Oh my word. So yeah, it's what I suppose the worst thing that's happened on stage. Mine was the old fluey thing. Chris, I suppose yours was the.
Yeah, it was literally coming. I was throwing up, and luckily we were the band that evening were parked near the toilets, so it was very unpleasant. It started off from just being sick, throwing up, and I was like, just out of the blue, I just had a buffet from a wedding.
Oh, there you go.
I think that's what it is, eating dodgy meat perhaps, but it just started from that, and suddenly it just came out of nowhere.
You should never eat a buffet at a wedding, really, should you?
No, everyone's touching it, and that's the thing. Like
It-
kids touch it, and
Well, that's what I
so-
thought. I
yeah.
thought it was Phil's buffet on Sunday. That's what I thought at first when these symptoms started coming on. I thought,
Well,
what's he
when I
done
saw a
to me?
picture of
What's
you in
Walker-
hospital,
yeah,
I actually thought that, and then
Yeah.
and then underneath the description came up underneath what it was. I was like, oh no, I may have killed Lee here. Like, oh,
yeah. I did think at first, but maybe not.
well, that's a good thing with a vegetarian barbecue. You see, no one's really going to get ill, are
You
they?
I'm actually contemplating going vegetarian.
What?
I think. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm almost there. I only have meat like twice a week, once a week sometimes.
So now
I'm-
Chris will go, oh yeah, I'm vegetarian apart from steak. I love steak.
Yeah,
This is
and I like my tuna fish.
That's pescatarian then. If you cut red meat, if you cut meat out and just have fish, then you're pescatarian. I did that to start with.
Yeah, do you know? Because what it is, every time I cook chicken, I'm always checking to see if it's been cooked properly and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just I'm over that now. I'd rather just be able to make something and not have to worry about it being cooked properly. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Well,
especially when you're out on the road and you're getting food all the time and you just want to be well for all the gigs.
Well, let's go back to that then, because how many times a certain member of the show used to go to Weatherspoons and used to come back, and an hour later was in the toilet until literally he had to go on stage.
For the
And
record,
it
not
happened
me.
It
Not
was-
me.
no, you don't. You don't go to the toilet. You just do it everywhere, don't you? No.
well, I do at the
so
moment.
But I have got a story actually. My brother used to be a manager at a Slug and Lettuce.
you see, the name just puts me off.
Yeah, I
It
always
does.
thought that. I
Yeah.
thought, what a weird
It's
name for
weird.
somewhere that you want to
Yeah.
go and eat. Mm.
If I had a really posh restaurant, like Michelin star restaurant, I'd probably call it the shit pan or something. You know what I mean? Just,
Phil Shitpan.
yeah,
But
exactly.
this is
Be
this,
flocking there.
this is one of the things. Like this lady had come in. She's pregnant and she ordered like a chicken dish.
Yeah.
And the guy who was on duty cooking that day, because they're not really chefs in there, I don't think. A lot of them are just they're just cooking prepped food that's come in or something.
Well,
and
most of them have all got like degrees in rocket science and the solicitors and things, so that they are actually qualified to work in McDonald's and Weatherspoons.
so this guy has cooked up a batch of chicken. That's off. It's it's gone past
Yeah.
and my brother said you haven't cooked that and send it out of you, and like so they had to call an ambulance and everything.
Oh
It's-
no!
yeah, it's so bad.
Oh,
And that's
God.
the thing. You just don't know. Sometimes you go to some of these like places like Weatherspoons. Not that I'm knocking it because it's such good value,
Mm.
but if I took meat out of the equation, I think I'd feel a lot more comfortable.
Well,
Yeah,
look,
eating
while we're
out,
on the
I think,
subject
yeah.
of food, I should give you my insight into NHS food as well, because that was another thing. There were two things I knew I'd never experienced, but two things I was quite intrigued to experience. That was the anaesthetic, but also the hospital food, because you hear so much about it. And all of the rumours are totally true. I didn't know how bad basic food could be. And I don't want to moan because, like I said, the experience was amazing and the staff were amazing. But what it seemed was it's almost like the nurses and the they know. It's almost like this thing. I mean, I kind of get that, like, plain food, simple food is the best thing for you when you're recovering, and obviously there's a cost to the cost side of it that's got to be looked at as well. But the snacks and the refreshments were fantastic. Like, the nurses do such a good job of keeping you comfortable, coming round. I actually remember I just had a cup of tea and one of the nurses said, "Do you want anything? Do you want another cup?" And I said, "No, that's fine." She walked past and I spotted that they were serving Dorset tea, which is like my favourite brand of tea. It's like a really nice tea that obviously you can get around here. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't know you do Dorset tea. Yeah, I'll have some of that." And she's bringing biscuits and stuff like this. I think the first thing I ate after the operation was an ice cream, which was amazing because it's been really, really hot. But the actual meals that you place an order for, like, in advance, I think the lunch was like a pasta dish. It was nondescript. It just said pasta. So I thought, yeah, manage a bit of pasta and a cheese sandwich or something like that. So fairly plain. You don't expect it to be gourmet. And it came round and it's served under these like cloche things that look a little bit like a dog's bowl turned upside down. And the nurse brought it over to me and I don't know how she did it as a joke. She went like, ta-da. and it was a plate, not a bowl, just a little plate of dried like penne pasta with no sauce, like nothing, nothing on it, and it had been cooked probably about an hour ago and then kept really hot in this plate. So it had dried even further. And she looked at it and she was like, "Did you order that like without anything on it?" And I said, "No, there wasn't a choice." She was like, "Well, good luck with that." And so, and then the sandwich was like stale bread, no butter, no mayonnaise, nothing, bit of old cheese. And so when you post an op like that for the first day, you have a bit of a sore throat because you've had things in your throat to keep you breathing. And they said, "Oh yeah, and you're also." I found myself like really parched, really dry mouth because the day before, you can't drink anything when you're leading up to an operation, so they put you on a drip. So you're staying hydrated, but your actual like upper part of your mouth and your throat doesn't get any moisture. So I was like really hoarse anyway. I'm trying to like choke down this pasta, this dry sandwich. I look like a seagull. You know when you see a seagull trying to swallow something, it's about 5 times too big for its gullet, and it's sort of going. I was like, "All right, keep the tea coming, keep the tea coming." It's like, right, mouthful of this, and then sort of like. I felt like saying, "Can you send it all back? Can I just have it blended and I'll just drink it?"
I think when I was in hospital, I didn't stay overnight because obviously your op was later in the day. But I was in at 8 o'clock, and I think my operation was at 10. So
right.
I think by 6, 7 o'clock I was free to go home.
Yeah.
But when I came round, it's exactly the same thing. I had some toast, and I couldn't swallow the toast. Your mouth is so dry, you just can't swallow the toast. And I think I had 7 cups of tea. While I was in there, I was just like, "Just give me more tea, more." It was like you were so dry. You're right.
Yeah. I like I say, I don't want to moan, but it did seem a little bit counterintuitive.
That's nearly a rant, that.
Well, I didn't want to. It just seemed a little bit counterintuitive because it's such an acknowledged fact that the food is not great. That therefore there is so much waste. I was in a room with 4 or 5 other people who had been in there longer than me, and they were quite. You could hear them quite easily saying, "I ain't going to eat that. I don't want that. I don't. Oh, I can't eat that." They give out the food, and then you'd hear sort of people go, "Oh, whoa."
Thing is, mate, you're not dining for the taste, are you?
No, I know. But obviously, but yeah, I don't know. But I made it out. So
maybe it's a time. If you ever considered fasting, maybe that would be the time.
Well, you're virtually fasting anyway. You haven't got much of an appetite, really. It's just about coming back now. It's just
okay. So I'm going to just get one in there for you boys because I know you like it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if anybody didn't know, they do know now. If anything blocks Lee's pipes, it's hospital food. And there you go.
Well, not the snacks. The snacks were fine. Digestive biscuits.
Oh, sorry.
And
The
ice
snacks
cream.
are fine, but the hospital food itself blocks Lee's pipes. There you go. That's fantastic. Well, do you know what? I think it's. I don't think I can stand much more of this hospital talk. If I'm honest, I'm going to go now.
No, I can't either. I wanted to come on here and talk about something else to change the subject. And all you've done is talk about poo and sick and illness.
But it's important that people know what we're up to, Lee. So it's not for you today.
Yeah, in case anybody's wondering, we all are human beings here. Yeah.
We can only be superstars, for small parts of the year.
So anyway, next, we haven't been superstar for about 16 months now. Oh, and actually a good 30 years before that. But no, I think Chris is going to tell us about next week's podcast because it is guitar based, isn't it?
It is. I think, I think a lot of it's all it kind of stems from our rehearsal, which you put on YouTube, actually.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know with the our rehearsal that we had? The week before last, wasn't it?
You mean the rehearsal vlog?
The rehearsal vlog.
That's
Bill
it, yes.
Walker Guitarist YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Obviously Lee is
PayPal.com.
Well, because I've got a Helix and I'm just using a Helix purely for the show, with all the built-in pedals and effects and everything. And I've got my Thon flight case, which is nice and compact and fitting to the Helix. And Lee's been looking to get ones very similar for his, but in the end, he's now decided to stick with his full board and use pedals into it. And
I've 180'd. I've done what's known as the old 180.
Exactly. And
Chris.
now, we have the IRs, and now everything sounds great with this IR that I've got. Hearing pedals through the Helix now with the IR and everything, it just suddenly just sounds amazing. Just sounds real good. And I think what I think we're going to get into is just the interaction with digital, that marriage between digital and analog gear, and how I think them combined together is so much better than just purely going digital or purely analog. I think a hybrid of both is.
God, you know what? I'm
definitely the best.
salivating just thinking about that
Oh, I know.
episode next week.
Because
I really
I'm
am.
building a new pedal board, and I know you guys are already using pedals into your Helix. So
I've
it's
built
something
my
I'm
pedal
working
board
on.
back. It's sat there and it looks lovely after tearing it all to pieces and threatening to change everything on it. It's
Yeah.
now
Wait while he has
basically-
to carry it down 4 flights of stairs.
But it's worth it, Lee, isn't it? It's worth it.
I won't be carrying
Yeah.
anything for a while, but it's gone back exactly as it was. I'm literally going to be going back on the road. Yeah, other than the new bass, like the board.
Did you put
is-
all the dust back on it as well?
Oh, that'll
No,
be
that's
back there. in
that's
good
all still on
time.
my makeup brush.
No, some new sounds, and an
Yeah.
overhaul in terms of the sounds and the programming and the software and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yes,
But yeah, maybe we
Good.
get into that then. Pedals with digital gear.
Pedals with digital. I'm like I say, I'm ready. I'm like a coiled spring.
Yes,
I'm
I
ready
think it's
to
gonna
go.
be a
So
riveting episode it's going to be.
So that's the next episode. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's more like a catch-up episode, just because with what happened and the gap that we left in people's lives by
Yeah.
not being out last week.
Yeah.
So,
And I know it's been a
yeah.
little crude at times, but it's generally what we talk about when we're together. So
yeah, I
know.
mean, we've really put it on being nice talking, on the podcast normally. I mean, when we turn it off, it normally goes to, how was your toilet this week? Oh, it normally goes back to all that anyway, doesn't it? So not
they know
like,
what we're like. We're filthy. They know it.
How's your new guitar? Oh, never mind that. You should have seen what came out of me last night.
End
End it. We're going. Yeah, don't forget you can catch up on all the social media channels, which is Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and it's all the Well, I don't know what the handles are. I don't
All
know.
the
Rubber
stuff.
Duck or
Listen
something.
to an old episode and it'll all be on there. I've forgotten at the moment.
Well, if you search Lee Troy guitar on something and Chris Anthony on something else and Phil Walker on something else, you'll find something to do with us anyway. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure. Well, it hasn't really been a pleasure this time. It's been disgusting, and I can't wait to go.
My ears can't take anymore.
No,
it's been nice to have a break from daytime TV. If I'm honest, just nice to do something slightly different. That's the hardest thing. I should say that's the hardest thing, and kudos to anyone who has to. I know it sounds like I'm making a mountain of a molehill, but my mind just thinks of people who go through these horrific operations and horrific recoveries, and for anyone like me, I'm really restless at the best of times. I just can't sit still. I can't do nothing. I've got to be busy. I've got to be what are we doing today. So that's such a thing. Just like telling yourself. Sophie keeps telling me off. Stop doing stuff. Go and sit down. So
you'll inhibit your recovery.
Yes.
You will. Honestly, you feel like you're being real lazy, Pratt, but you're not, because all you're going to do is drag it out longer. So you best just sucking it up and just sitting on your arse.
It's just easier said than done sometimes. So like I say, chaps, nice to do something different for an hour and get a change of scenery. And I shall probably pop back to my bed now.
Are you still able to play guitar? Just sat down?
Do you know I played guitar for the first time today, Chris? Literally before coming
Yeah.
on here, I sat with an acoustic guitar, strummed through a few chords, and it was fine. It was fine. So,
Stay tuned for next week's episode to see which chords he strummed through.
Oh, actually, I'll just tell you this, whether it makes the edit or not, right? As they were discharging me...
Here we go again with discharge.
I could tell you so many things, but it's not fit for the podcast. One of the nurses there, she redressed the wounds, and then she gave me some
I
fresh...
bet she did.
It wasn't particularly pleasant to just, because you have to watch, and if you're squeamish, you have to just look and go, right, okay, because she wants to show you how it's done, so that if you need to do it at home, you can do it when you go home. It gives you fresh dressings and everything, and then she gave me some sterilized gloves, and she sort of looked at me and she went, small, medium, and I went, not a chance. She had to go and get the extra large for me. So the hands are okay, guys. The hands, the sausage fingers have made it through, so I should be able to play pretty soon.
Oh, well, that's good. At least his sausage fingers made it through,
Yeah.
even if his penis didn't.
Ugh.
Okay.
Right.
See you later, chaps.
See you later.
See you next time.
Bye.